Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Hope everybody's having a good weekend so far. Thank you for joining me for today's stick mobility class. I am Coach Ray. So for today's class, I am going to be using the squat rack as a door frame or whatever you happen to have available to you. So we are going to get into some deep squat and hinge patterns. We're going to be using the squat rack for that. So we're just going to be a 2 long stick class here, okay? Also have a bench because we are going to be doing some stretching on that anterior hip tissues here. So we're going to be working on that as well. All right, so I'm going to grab my 2 long sticks here. And we're going to get started with some foot and ankle drills. We're going to need to warm these up here, okay? So let's go ahead and take a shoulder width stance with our feet here, okay? And I want to have my toes pointed forward. So you can do this with 1 stick, but I'm just going to use 2 here. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the sticks in line with my mid toe here. I want to be gripping the sticks at roughly about shoulder height, okay? And I want to sit down in that horse stance. I want to make sure that my pelvis is stacked under my spine. Now what we do from here, we're going to teeter-totter back and forth between both feet. So I'm going to bring that right heel up. I want to make sure I'm on all 5 toes, okay? And then as I transition and drop that right heel down, that left heel is going to come up at the same time, but I want to hover that right heel off the floor here, okay? Then we're going to switch, right? Left heel drops, right heel comes up, but heels never touch the floor here. We want to keep them as active as we can, okay? Now we're going to switch, right heel drops, left heel comes up. Good. Switch. Good, right heel up, left heel down, switch. Good, switch. Switch. There we go, let's go a couple more. Switch, right heel up, left heel drops, switch. Excellent, last one, switch. And good, both heels down. Take a second. Now we're gonna move on to that lateral shifting here. So we are gonna go with a split stance here. And I'm just gonna have the sticks both in line with the arch of my left foot. So my left foot's gonna be forward here, okay? Back foot, I want the ball and toes of that foot here. Now what I wanna do, I wanna load this front leg a bit, okay? And now I'm gonna bring that left heel up. And I'm going to shift laterally. So I'm going to shift my heel inwards towards my midline. And then I'm going to shift my heel outwards. Okay? Shift in. Good. Shift out. Shift in. Shift out. We're only using those sticks for balance. Shift in. And shift out. Back to center. And down. Now we're going to switch sides here, okay? And I'll go from the front. So the movement of the ankle might not be all that much, and that's okay. So, going to be in that same position, load that front leg just a little bit, not too much. Want to still maintain control there, okay? So, bring that right heel up. Good. I'm going to shift my ankle inwards, and then shift outwards. Good. Shift in and shift out. Now remember, you want that knee to stay as stable as possible. Shift in and shift out. Let's go one more time each way. Shift in and shift out. Back to center and good. So now we're going to move on to pelvic tilts. So we're going to spend quite a bit of time here because I want to get the hips warmed up for the patterns we're going to do a little bit later. All right, so I'll go with a little bit of a side profile here. So I'm going to so the sticks are going to be at the same place that they were. We want them angled in towards our toes, so about roughly 6 inches in front of our toes here. We want to have them at midline here. We're going to start with posterior anterior, okay? But I want a lot of focus to be on that posterior tuck. So Let's switch our grip. Let's bring our hands up higher just to make that lever system a little bit longer here, okay? Make it a little bit more challenging. So from here, I want to stay up tall. I want to get back into that horse stance. Arms are straight. I want to drive the sticks down about 30%. And then I'm going to tuck my pelvis in and squeeze my glutes. I want to drive my knees outward away from one another to make sure I'm getting full glute engagement here, okay? Then I'm going to do an anterior tilt, still driving the sticks down to 30%. Do a posterior tilt, squeeze the glutes, drive the knees away from one another. Make sure your feet are active. You're gripping the ground with your feet. Now I'm going to do an anterior tilt. Excellent. Posterior tilt, still driving down 30%. Squeeze those glutes. Keep that rib cage down. Don't let it flare up. Anterior tilt. Good. Posterior tilt. Squeeze those glutes. Make sure you're breathing here. Okay. Anterior tilt. Let's go posterior one more time. Posterior tilt. Squeeze those glutes. And ease off. Good. Okay. So now we're going to go with lateral tilts or hip bumps. Okay. So as we bump our hip up, so if we're bumping hip up to the right, we're driving that right stick down. We're trying to connect that entire lateral line here. Okay. So I'm going to get back into that horse stance again, a little wider than shoulder width. Sticks are in the same place. Okay. If you have one stick, you can always just have that one stick on that side here. The positioning doesn't really change. So from here, I'm going to have my hands at shoulder height this time. I'm going to sink down, right? Now what I'm going to bump my hips up to the right, and I'm going to drive that right stick down so that right glute's going to fire, the obliques and the lats on that right side. I'm going to come back to the center, and now I'm going to bump up to the left. Good. Right hip should be dropping down towards the floor. You don't want the spine to move. It's just the hips. Now I'm going to come back to center. I'm going to bump that right hip up, drive that right stick into the ground. You're only going about 30%. Good. Back to center. Bump the left hip up. Squeeze that glute. Drive that stick into the floor here. Good. Back to center. Drive that right hip up, drive that right stick down. Good. Let's go back to center, one more time to the left. Bump that left hip up, drive that left stick down. Good, 3, 2, 1, come back to center. Now we're gonna go right into circles here. So we're gonna start with our pelvis at 12 o'clock. We're gonna go with that clock system. So, driving the six down, right, 20%. Let's go to 12 o'clock, so do a posterior tilt. And then I'm going to work my pelvis to a 9 o'clock position. So I'm going to go to 9, so my left hip bumps up. Then I'm going to go 6, go to anterior tilt, then 3, and then 12. Okay, let's go a couple more. So 9, 6, 3, 12, good, 9, 6, 3, and 12. Now I'll switch directions, 3, 9, 6, 9, and 12. Let's go 2 more, 3, 6, 9, 12. Excellent, 1 more, 3, 6, 9, and 12. And come off. Perfect. All right, so now what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna use the bench. I'm gonna use it to kind of stretch out the hamstrings a bit since we are gonna get into a hinge pattern. So we're gonna slowly work into activation here. So I'm gonna bring the bench over like so. So what I want to do here is I want to have something to kind of place my heel onto, and then I can work on leveraging myself into a hinge pattern, stretching out that hamstring here. So I'm gonna have my right foot up first, okay? Now, the back foot, you can have a soft knee, but it's gonna be a little bit better if you can lock that knee out. So you're gonna have to flex that quad a bit. Now the stick's gonna be right behind my right knee here. I wanna keep my ankle dorsiflex, soft bend to the knee, I don't wanna lock it out, okay? So right hand is up at the top of the stick here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first drive the stick down with about 15% tension just to get a slight bit of activation. And then I'm gonna grab the stick roughly where the sticker is, and I'm going to drive it forward. And I'm gonna get a stretch in that hamstring. Now from here, I'm gonna lightly drive my heel into the bench, okay? Just gonna get further hamstring activation here. And 3, 2, 1, we're gonna slowly come out. Good, we're gonna go a couple more reps here, okay? So, same thing, drive the stick down, okay, 15 to 20%, and I'm gonna drive my left hand out and forward, lightly drive that heel into the bench, feel that hamstring activation and stretch. Breathe. 3, 2, 1, slowly come out. Excellent. We're gonna go one more time here, okay? Drive the stick down, okay? Drive that left hand forward. Lightly drive the heel into the bench. Breathe, try to go a little further into that range, push it a little bit more. 3, 2, 1, slowly come up. And good, now we're gonna switch sides. So if one side's a little tighter than the other, you can always reduce that range of motion or reduce the amount of tension. You can even hang out in that stretch a little bit longer if you need to here, okay? So, I'm gonna be in that same position here. Stick is right behind my left knee, okay? Left hand is up at the top, soft knee on the left knee here. So, same thing, I'm gonna first drive that stick down into the floor, 15 to 20% tension, grab the stick with my right hand, and I'm gonna drive that right hand out, hinge into it, and now I'm gonna lightly push that left heel into the bench, keep the ankle dorsiflex here. Good, 3, 2, 1, slowly come out. Excellent, let's go 2 more repetitions here, okay? So, drive the stick down, place the hand on the sticker. So, drive that right hand out and down, drive the left heel onto the bench. 3, 2, 1, slowly come out. Excellent, one last time, okay? Drive the stick down, drive that right hand out. Once you get to that end range, drive that left heel onto the bench. And 3, 2, 1, slowly come out. And ease off. Good, okay. So now I'm gonna move the bench out and away a little bit. I want to create just a little bit more room. Bam. All right, so now what we're gonna do here, we're gonna get in the slap shot. Just gonna use it as a way to open up that T-spine, open up some of that rotation here. So we're gonna take a wide stance, go as wide as you comfortably can. Again, if there's any pain here, reduce the range of motions. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have the stick on the inside of my right foot. I'm starting with that right side first. I wanna have my hand roughly about forehead height, okay? So from here, I wanna first activate, I wanna drive the stick into the floor, 20-30% tension, nothing too significant, this is just a warm up. And so what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna hinge and I wanna bring the stick back behind me, okay? Don't want that stick overhead. Want to here, get that stretch in that shoulder and the chest. Now I'm gonna grab the stick with my left hand, thumb facing down towards the floor. Now I'm gonna lunge to my left. Slowly come up and out, back to center, let go of my left hand, and come up. Good. We're gonna switch, okay? We're gonna come back to that side again. So, same thing, right? Drive the stick down, 20-30% tension. We're gonna hinge, okay? Get a good hang here. Take advantage of that stretch in the chest and shoulders. Gonna reach across with my right hand, thumb facing down towards the floor. And now I'm going to lunge to my right, really driving off that left foot here. Good, slowly come out. Let go with that right hand. Come up. Excellent. Let's switch back over to the other side here. We're gonna add in a bit more activation on this one, okay? So, place your hand where it was before, roughly about forehead height. Drive that stick down, hinge, all right? Get into that stretch here. Reach across with the left hand, thumb facing down. I want you to pull apart here, so you're gonna automatically increase that rotation. Gonna lunge to the left. I want you to drive that right hand into the floor and drive the left hand into the floor as well. Good, slowly ease off that tension. Come back to center, let go, and come up. So we're gonna switch. So what we're doing there is we're further activating and pulling ourselves more into that rotational aspect there, okay? All right, same thing. Drive the stick down, get that activation, hinge our hips back. Good, reach across with that right hand, thumb facing down. From here, gonna pull apart, get a little bit more rotation, lunge to that right. Now drive that left hand down towards the floor and drive the right hand towards the floor as well. Gonna feel a ton of activation in that upper back. Good. Ease off some of that tension. Come back to the center. Let go with the right hand and slowly come out. Wiggle your feet in. Good. All right, so that's the warm up for today. So now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna get into using the squat rack. So I did this before, I did this a while ago. So we're gonna use the Dumpy Squat and we're gonna hybrid a hip hinge into it, okay? So, I'm gonna move this out of the way. So we're gonna start off with not too much tension, but just a little bit, because we wanna work into that movement. And we're actually gonna be sitting in that squat for quite some time, right? I wanna get comfortable with it. So, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna take the stick, I'm gonna press the top of the stick into, if you have a door frame's perfect here. So, take whatever squat stance you tend to be comfortable with. We are gonna be switching stances as we go through it. So if you can, maybe start a smidge closer than your typical squat stance, okay? So, I'm gonna have my feet angled out a bit, okay? Have your feet angled however you want. I wanna have the stick roughly about 6 inches in front of my body, 6 to 8 inches. Now I'm gonna do, gripping the stick at roughly about belly button to waist height. I'm gonna drive that stick up about 30%, okay? First thing I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna work into a hinge. So I'm gonna drive my hips back. I wanna make sure I got full contact with my feet into the floor. Gonna get some good hamstring activation there. Now from here, I'm gonna sit down into the Stumpy Squat. Allow my knees to track forward. Pull the stick in. Hold. Deep breath. Good, I'm gonna slowly come up and ease off. Good. It's a long rep. I know you're generating tension a lot. We're gonna do that a few more times here, okay? So, let's widen out our stance just a bit, about an inch or so, okay? Let's do that same thing again. Again, we're gonna go with 30%, not going too heavy here. So drive the stick up, 30%. We're just trying to get that activation, get that tall spine posture here, okay? Now I'm gonna do from here, I'm gonna drive my hips back. My hands are gonna drift forward naturally. Okay, I need to create that room. Now I'm gonna transition into that deep squat. Make sure your feet are active here. Breathe. 3, 2, 1, slowly come up and ease off. Excellent. Let's widen out again, okay? So wiggle those feet out a little wider, so creating a lot more demand on those hips, okay? All right, so same thing, and actually switch your hands, all right? If your right heel is stacked over your left, switch your hands. So, let's go again. Drive up 30%. Make sure you got active feet. Your entire foot should be in contact with the floor here. And I'm going to hinge, back. Good, drop into that deep squat. Drive those knees out. Breathe. 3, 2, 1, come up. Ease off. Okay. So wiggle our feet back into where it was before. We're going to increase that tension. We're going to double that tension here. So I want to be at more like 60, 65% for this here. Okay? I promise this is going to be just as hard for me as it's going to be for you guys. So, let's get set up in our position here. Okay? So, drive the stick up. Let's go about 60 to 70% tension. Feel those feet being active here. Drive those hips back. Allow the arms to drift out. Good. Drive down deep into the squat. Three, 2, 1. Slowly come up. And ease off. Good. So, widen those feet out a little bit more. Okay? Do that same thing again. Switch your hands. Okay, still 60 to 70% here. Active feet, drive the stick up. Drive those hips back. You want that back to remain as neutral as possible. Drive down into that deep squat. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Come back up. And ease off. Good. Bring that stance out a little bit wider. Not sure about you guys, but my erectors are lighting up like crazy, and so are my hips. So, one last time. This is the last one of this one, I promise. Maybe. All right. So, same thing. 67%. Drive that stick up. Active feet. Okay? Remember to drive those knees out at the bottom here. Don't let those knees buckle in. Okay? Drive the hips back. Good. Transition into that deep squat. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Come up slow. And ease off. Woo! Got it. Good. Awesome. So, now we're going to do here, we're going to get into working on the obliques a little bit. Okay? So, we're going to be in a split stance, and we're going to use a reverse bow and arrow to generate some of that tension into those lateral tissues here. Okay? So, what I want to do here is I'm going to have my right foot forward, and I'm going to have my left foot back. So I'm going to be doing a reverse one on that left side here. Balance-wise, it might be a little bit challenging, but we're really trying to create a real good connection here, okay? So, I'll go a little bit from a side profile here. So, I'm going to have my left foot back. I want to be on the ball and toes of that left foot. This left glute needs to be active the entire time here, so make sure that glute is squeezed. Okay, so when I get in position here, the stick is in line with my hips. Okay, if you're looking from the side, you'll see right in line. I'm gonna angle the stick out quite a bit, all right? I'm gonna load that front leg, so I'm gonna load that front, so I'm gonna want to keep my knee stacked over my ankle here. What I'm gonna do, with my left hand on the sticker, I'm gonna place my right hand up over the top, okay? Now, again, squeezing that left glute, locking that hip into extension, we're first gonna drive the stick down into the floor from this position. So push the stick into the floor. Now I'm going to straighten that right arm out, and I'm gonna pull in with that left arm, pulling my elbow towards my hips. So driving the stick into the floor, about 50 to 60%. And 3, 2, 1, good, ease off. Slowly come up and out. So I'll turn forward so you can get a little bit of a different angle here, okay? So we're gonna do that same thing again. Take a pretty good split. Again, stick is out at the side, right? Again, at a pretty good angle. So, wanna load that front leg here. Left glute's tight. Reach up over, thumb down towards the floor, okay? I'm gonna drive the stick down with both hands. And I'm gonna extend that right elbow out, and I'm gonna pull in, pull towards my hip. Hold. 3, 2, 1, slowly ease off. Come up. All right. We're gonna do that one more time here, okay? So, same thing, load that front leg. Right hand up over the top, thumb facing down. Okay, let's push it 80%. Drive both hands into the floor. Extend that right elbow. Pull in with the left arm. 3, 2, 1, good, ease off. Come up and out. Let's switch sides here, okay? All right. Okay, so same thing, same setup. Right, have that stick angled out. Right hand is at the same place where the sticker is. You're gonna take that left hand, move over a little bit. Gonna take that left hand up, over the top. Reach over, grab thumb facing down. Remember to keep that right glute tight. Okay, I'm gonna drive the stick down about 50%. I'm gonna extend that left elbow out, pull in with the right. Hold. 3, 2, 1, good, ease off. Come out. Excellent. Gonna do 2 more reps here. So you should be feeling a ton of oblique activation. You're gonna be feeling a little bit of lat. We're also connecting that glute there. Right, same thing. All right, load that front leg, hand over the top, drive both hands into the floor, 70%. You pull that elbow in, drive that left hand out. 3, 2, 1, good, ease off. Come out. Last one. Okay, load that front leg. Left hand is up over the top, thumb facing down. Okay, we're gonna go 80%. Drive both hands into the floor. Okay, keep that right glute tight. Extend that left hand out, pull that right hand in. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. And come out. Good, awesome. So, after the strength training portion, just wanted to keep it really specific today. I only want to do 2 good drills. So now when you may have felt a little bit of stretch on a hip flexor, it's a good thing. Again, trying to make sure we're controlling the hips as we do some of these drills here, okay? So let's actually stretch out that T-spine here, okay? So you can do this drill with 1 stick, but I'm gonna use 2 here, okay? If you have 2 sticks, we can add in a little something more, moving the shoulder blades around here, right? Focus a little bit more on that rotation. So I'll actually go a little bit more from the side here, okay? And so I'm gonna take roughly hip to shoulder width stance, typically whatever's comfortable for you. So feet are gonna be facing forward, okay? I'm gonna have the sticks roughly about, I'd say 8 to 10 inches in front of the line of my toes here. I'm gonna have my hands a little bit higher than shoulder height. As you get more loose, you can kind of work your hands down a bit. So from here, I'm going to drive my hips back and I'm gonna reach out with my hands. I'm gonna get a nice little stretch in that T-spine here, okay? I'm just gonna breathe into it, deep breath. Good, let's go through a couple breath cycles, in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time, deep breath in, deep breath out. Good, slowly come back up. Squeeze those glutes to lock you into full extension, okay? So we can work those hands down a little bit more on this one. Now we're gonna add in some rotation, okay? But again, we kind of play around with the shoulder blades by moving the sticks a certain way. So for this, I'll actually face forward, okay? So same thing, I'm gonna hinge, keep my arms straight, drive my arms and hips away from one another, get into that good stretch here. So you can adjust the sticks if you need to. Now what we're gonna do from here, I'm gonna rotate both sticks over to the right side of my body. Okay, like so. So I'm already in some thoracic rotation here. Now what I can do is I can start to move my shoulder blades here. So I'm gonna pull my right shoulder back and push my left shoulder out. Then I'm gonna come off, ease off. I'm gonna do that 2 more times. Pull that right shoulder back, drive that left shoulder forward. Good, ease off. Let's go 1 more time. Drive that right shoulder back. My apologies. So we're gonna do that again. Okay. So now we're gonna go the other side. So I'm gonna rotate over to the left, and again, adjust the sticks as need be. Come over to the left. Same thing, I'm gonna pull that left shoulder back, drive that right shoulder forward. Good, come back. Let's go 2 more times. Drive that right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. Good, back in, 1 more time. Drive that left shoulder back, right shoulder forward. Good, slowly come out. And up. Perfect. Now, we're going to focus on stretching out those anterior hip tissues. So, may need a pillow or a pad for this. Okay? So, I'm going to pull the bench over here. So, I'm going to use 2 sticks because I can rotate my upper body as we do this here, right? So, I'm gonna start with my left foot up on the bench, okay? Top of the foot is on the bench here. So, if you can get your knee to the ground, that's good. If you need to basically throttle the stretcher, reduce it, you can always have your foot come out forward more. It makes it so that stretch is a little less intense. If you want more of an intense stretch, you can get your glute closer to your foot here. So, both sticks are gonna be right about mid-thigh with my right leg here, okay? I'm gonna reach up top with both hands. So if you have 1 stick, I would suggest using the stick on the outside of that front leg here, okay? So from here, what I wanna do is I'm gonna drive the sticks down. I'm gonna drive my foot into the bench and squeeze that left glute. We're gonna get a real deep, real intense stretch on that hip flexor and that rec fem area here. And 3, 2, 1, good, ease off. So let's come forward a little bit, so lean forward into that front leg just to take off some of that stretch, all right? Now we're gonna come back into position. Hands up, we're gonna add in some rotation here, okay? So same thing, drive the sticks down, only about 15 to 20%. Drive the foot to the bench. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna rotate the sticks. So I'm gonna rotate towards my front leg. Right arm comes back, left arm comes forward. Now I'm gonna rotate back to neutral, and now I'm gonna rotate to my left. Left arm comes back, right arm comes forward. Good. Back to neutral. Let's rotate each way one more time. Right arm comes back, left arm goes forward. Good. Back to neutral. Rotate to your left. Excellent. Back to neutral here. And ease off. Use the sticks as a way to assist yourself up. Good. And now we're going to switch sides. So if that's too much, that's a bit much of a stretch, you can always just not use the bench here, right? You can just basically just use a regular pad and get a regular hip flexor stretch here. So we're going to get down into that same position. So one side's always going to feel tighter than the other. For me, that's this right hip here, and that's normal, okay? So same thing. Have the sticks lined up with my mid-thigh here. We're reaching up top. I'm going to drive both sticks down, drop my back foot into the bench, squeeze that glute, lock that hip into extension. Make sure you're breathing here, okay? Let's go through a few breath cycles. Allow those tissues to slowly loosen up. Good. Slowly ease off. So shift your weight on that front leg here, right? You can hinge into it. Again, this takes off some of that stretch, right? All right, we're gonna go right back into it. Hands up top. Drive both sticks down. Draw that back foot into the bench. Now we're gonna add in those rotations. I'm gonna rotate to my left. Left shoulder comes over and back. Right hand goes forward. Good. Come back to neutral. Now rotate to the right. Good. Back to neutral. Rotate to the left. Good. Deep breaths. Back to neutral. One more time. Rotate to the right. Back to neutral. Slowly ease off. You can use the sticks to help assist you up. Excellent. So, let's work on loosening up those shoulder blades a bit. So I'm going to use the bench. We're going to do seated kayaking here, okay? So this just allows us to just focus on spinal movement. So I'm going to take the stick, grip out as wide as I can. So for this, I do want to make sure we're adding in rotation of the spine from the beginning here, okay? So grip out as wide as you can. Let's start with our right hand up. I want to keep those feet in a little close, right? So I'm going to rotate to my left, drive that right hand through, up and over. I'm going to come up with the left, rotate to my right. Just adding in a little bit of movement here. We're rotating each direction. Want to make sure your speed is matched to mine, right? Breathe. Trying to open up the shoulder blades and the spine. Breathe here. Doing good, doing good. Excellent. So a couple more here. Then we're going to switch directions. So we're going to go backwards in a second. All right, let's go ahead and switch. Let's go backwards. Good. Still getting in some of that rotation of the spine. Breathe. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Perfect, good. So, I'm gonna go back to a standing position. We do not need the bench anymore. We'll move that out of the way here. So, we're gonna get into a bow and arrow. Gonna do a little bit of a different variation. We're gonna go into a deeper stretch variation of the bow and arrow here. So, instead of the stick being on the outside of the foot, we're gonna now move that stick to the inside of the foot here. So, the closer it is to the midline or center line of your body, the deeper that stretch is gonna be. So, what I wanna do here, take a shoulder width stance, okay? Feet are gonna be facing forward. I'm gonna start with it right on the inside of my instep of my left foot here. So, left hand is actually gonna be pretty low on the stick here. So, I'm actually gonna have my left hand basically at the bottom of the sticker. I'm gonna take my right hand up, thumb facing down, I'm gonna reach over, okay? Now I'm driving in the opposite direction of the stick. So I'm driving the stick down and almost diagonally here, okay? So from here, I'm going to drive my hips back and drive my stick out. Get a real deep stretch here. Breathe. Slowly come out. Good. Ease off. Rotate that stick a bit. I'm gonna come to my midline now. Okay? So yeah, it's gonna get a little bit of a deeper stretch here. So take my right hand up, thumb facing down. Okay? I'm gonna drive my hips back diagonally, and I'm actually gonna get some rotation here. Okay? So I'm gonna rotate that left shoulder through a bit, and I'm gonna drive the stick towards the floor. We're gonna feel a stretch in that hip. Those deep lateral lines. Make sure you breathe and slowly come out. Good. We're gonna switch sides now. So I'm gonna go into the inside of my right instep here, okay? Same thing, left hand up over the top, thumb facing down towards the floor. I wanna drive my hips back diagonally and drive that right hand down towards the floor. Make sure you breathe, don't hold your breath. Slowly come out. Excellent, good. Just going to bring that stick in towards the midline, rotate the stick a bit, okay? So, get in that same position. Remember, I'm gonna drive my hips back diagonally. I'm gonna rotate that right shoulder through a bit. I'm gonna drive that right hand down towards the floor. Both legs straight. 3, 2, 1, slowly come out and ease off, and good. And that concludes today's stick mobility class. Thank you for joining me today, everybody. I hope everybody had a good class. Now be sure to catch you guys on the next one. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there. Catch you guys later.